Hi, this is Philippe from Audio Fanzine. I'm in Modena at IK Multimedia headquarters, and I've made a small tour and met the team, and one thing I can tell is it's a fun team, super nice, and I feel like their jokes and humor is very close to Audio Fanzine one. So if you like Red Lead and Los Teños, you will love IK.
I'm Davide Barbi, CTO of IK Multimedia, and this company started in 1996. We wanted to create innovative software for the musicians because, as you know, in those years, computer technology was starting to be power enough to start integrating everything that is in a studio or in a musician arsenal of gear, integrating everything inside the computer. Those were the years when the power of the computers was just starting to be enough for this. And so we were pioneering this kind of area. And as you know, we started with Sample Tank, T-Rex, Amplitube, just to provide the basic but fundamentally important instruments that musicians needed at the time to work with a computer. We started in '96, as we said before, because I was building Enrico's own studio, because I have a background in electronics and audio engineering, so I was doing studio maintenance and customizations back at the time, so we knew that way. And then we started, after this job, we started talking about the future of the electronics applied to musical instruments and the future of computer in this regard. So we started saying, why don't we put something together that can offer musicians the possibility to do innovative things in a simple way? And you may remember about Groove Maker, which was the very first software IK Multimedia did. And it's about actually grouping loops in an 8-track machine that always synchronize properly together, and that can actually make anybody able to create short musical clips, soundtracks, background for video or for any kind of production. Back at the time, it was really innovative and fun to play also with.
It certainly goes both ways. We'd like to see ourselves also as sort of solution providers, not manufacturing hardware on its own or software always just on its own. But if we provide, for example, an interface such as iRig, we'd like to be able to provide the musicians also with some apps to go with it, so that it is a viable solution basically out of the box. iOS was certainly born for musicians with its low latency, and so it has been possible to use iOS as a music making platform from the very beginning. Unfortunately, that is still not 100% the case with Android. While there are now some music making solutions also from ourselves for Android, iOS is certainly far more developed as a music making platform. For example, the original iRig was certainly pretty much of a revolutionary product for mobile music making, and we are still selling very good numbers of its successor iRig 2. But there are also a number of other very successful products, such as, for example, iRig keys, not to forget our traditional software products such as Amplitube and T-Rex. Maybe some products were a little bit ahead of their time in terms of technology. For example, maybe the products such as iRing didn't pick up the way as we could have wished. It tried to also integrate motion into music making, which is still not supported by many technologies. Originally, we started manufacturing in the Far East, just as most other manufacturing companies. But our experience told us the other way, and we actually returned most of the manufacturing back to Europe, to our own facilities here in Modena, which gives us a lot more control over the quality, faster lead times, and also far more flexibility. Certainly, the overall cost is somewhat higher in Italy, but we win in terms of quality control, timing, etc. So we consider it an extremely good decision. We do, but our plan is to bring more and more of the manufacturing to our own facilities here in Modena. We are just now building our new manufacturing facilities, and we hope that towards the beginning of next year we'll be able to manufacture even more here. Particularly if we bring along new models, in-app purchases are a very good option. Otherwise, you would have to create a totally new version, which wouldn't serve the purpose. They are very user-friendly as well, in the sense that you have the option of purchasing just the model you require and are not forced to buy the whole product if you don't wish to do so. Yes, certainly there are some customers who may have had bad experiences also with other companies with in-app purchases, but all in all we get very good feedback, and you also always have the option of purchasing the whole product. There are also in-app bundles, as there are many special offers. It is a very flexible solution. We have decided, after careful consideration, not to go for the rental model, at least for the time being. We didn't feel that it gave any real benefits to the users, and we prefer giving competitive pricing on our products where you actually own your product, and we also always allow multiple authorizations. So you have the option of using your software, not just, for example, in your studio, but you have the option of using also on your laptop yes, in different settings. Obviously, the market requires very fast adjustments at times. When we started, for example, with Amplitude 15 years ago, there was not much of the competition, as Amplitude was the very first guitar and amps modeling software around. Now there are many very good other solutions around, which obviously means that we also have to be competitive, but we really believe to be able to provide the very best solution and also extremely good value for money. It was more of a natural evolution. Many of our products, such as the mobile IK mics, are extremely suitable also, for example, for video making, for journalists, for people outside the traditional music market. So it was just natural for people to start using them, and of course with that development we started venturing into some more general consumer electronic shows, for example.
For example, with Mesa Boogie, we had a lot of back and forth to validate the emulation we did. So it's been a very long process, actually. I'm not sure how long we spent on it, but it was very intense because we had to
a couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years probably.
Like that, yeah.
Doing a first model of an amp, sending it to them, waiting for their answer, and all the usually very long emails with a lot of specific information about the feeling, some technical information and some information about the feeling they have, which is something they really care about, the feeling you have when you play their amps, and they try to find it in the models too. And this is something, of course, that's very hard to achieve. So we spent a long time. They were saying you need more aggressivity here, and we would try to have it that way, and so on. Really, dozens and dozens of back and forth.
Yeah.
So basically, the process, the whole process for modeling the amps starts with agreeing with the company first of all on which amps we're gonna choose and model the ones that they think is more iconic for the brand, and which we agree usually on. And once we have that, we would start the study of the electronics of the amp. Well, first of all, we would get our hands on the amp to get the feeling of it and play around, and to know how it should feel, let's say. And after that, we would approach the electronic study of the amp, from the schematics, from the real amp that we open and check to see if matches the schematics, which actually is not always the case. Actually, it's often not the case, strangely. Or maybe it's just that we don't understand it. But it's okay, don't say that. And we first do a first simulation of the amp on simulation softwares like Spice. And there we try to match the real thing to see what piece needs more investigation or not. And then from there on we start the theoretical study, let's say the mathematic behind. We just start to write equations for the whole stuff and implement the amp in code, and until we get a first version that's real time, that's working real time, test plug, let's say. And this one, we already try to compare with the real unit. We send it to the brand, Mesa Boogie in this case, and we would just tell them how to use it, and they would just give us some feedback, and from there on we would start the back and forth we talked about earlier, and that's it. And at some point, mostly in parallel with this, we start the GUI design, and we start having a back and forth with them about the design of the way it will feel, it will look on Amplitube. And so there is both the sound, the DSP stuff, and the design stuff going on in parallel, let's say. And this goes for a long time, and after years and years and years, we agree on something, and that's it.
Certainly, just stay tuned.
All right, you cannot say more right now?
Not yet.
All right, you will say more at NAMM?
Very likely.
All right.
Well, when these changes happens, actually we do not have a very long advance with the information. So what it happens is actually that we have the time for planning new version of the products. And a very clear example is about the iPhone 7 and the removal of the audio output jack. That is actually the reason why we launched a new series of products that include an audio output on board. Like, for example, for the Rig Pro. The original version was not including any audio output on board, because it was an input-only device. And then this year we released the RIG Pro I/O, which is including an audio output, and is so perfectly compatible with the iPhone 7. This is an example of actually what we do. We take those changes as opportunities to improve the products and actually design stuff that is more perfect for the new devices.